Hi, it's Belinda in Melbourne, just doing a video in regards to this clip that I've come across on Pinterest. Actually, it was my sister that came across it on Pinterest because she knows how much that Mon and I are both obsessed with our Dessicates. So people who saw our clip the other day probably saw us going through the different fragrances that we love and why we love them. So this basically is using the Dessicates to make like a room spray. As you can see, I've got a spray and I've got one of my favorite Dessicates and some boiling water, but this is actually not a glass bottle. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of cold water in the bottom, just so that doesn't, and sorry, this is a bit difficult with one arm. So what I'm going to do is pour the Dessicates, as you can see, in there. And so what I'm going to do is actually pour those into this spray bottle, and then hopefully I'm not going to make a mess. So because I've got one hand, I might actually do that off camera. One-handed and no funnel. Obviously you can see I made a bit of a mess. So now after making a mess and putting, you can probably see the Dessicates in there. As I said, I put a little bit of cold water just because this is a kind of a plastic spray bottle. So I'm just going to put that in there, and I'm just going to swirl it a little bit in hope that the Dessicates will kind of melt a little bit with the boiling water. As you can see, this one is a nice purple one. This fragrance is called Lush. It's one of my favourite ones that I like to put in my washing. And then obviously we just put the lid back on. Now I'm going to give it a bit of a shake. Oh, and obviously that was open. Give it a little bit of a shake. As you can see, that is now virtually none of the Dessicates. So I'm going to spray that. Unfortunately, there's no smell-o-vision through our phones yet or on social media, but hopefully that might happen soon. But this smells really nice. As I said, it's one of my favourites, so give that a go if you've got Dessicates at home.